hopefully what's our last public meeting online notification here. So let's see, we're going to use this one. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law under Mass General Laws, Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this public hearing of the Westborough Zoning Board of Appeals is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but the public can listen and view this meeting while in progress by following the link in the public meeting notice. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish during the portion of the hearing designated for public comments. All right, it is June 7th, and the June 7th hearing of the Westborough Zoning Board of Appeals is now called to order. My name is Justin Lundberg, and the other present members of the board are Todd Alexander, Rachel Wiegensberg, and Will Wallace. Fred Leonardo, our building commissioner, is usually here and probably is here somewhere. And Paula Cavino, our clerk, is also here. Westborough Board of Appeals meetings are called in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A. Any person aggrieved by a decision of the board may file an appeal as outlined in Chapter 40A, Section 17 of the Zoning Act. Copies of the decision may be sent to any person at this hearing who requests such notice be sent to them and states the address to which such notice shall be sent. Now, one more notice. I have to read the legal notice for this hearing. So Board of Appeals legal notice, Norman Burns of 15 Forbes Street, Westborough, Mass. has applied for a special permit under Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 9. The petitioner seeks a special permit under the Westborough Zoning Bylaws, Section 2410, and or any other relief deemed necessary to allow the proposal. Petitioner seeks to construct an attached garage with second floor master bedroom and bath and a mudroom connecting the house exceeding 1,000 square feet. Subject property is located at 15 Forbes Street and is identified as map 20, parcel 567 on the assessor's map of the town of Westborough. The application is available for review of the Town of Westborough Zoning Board of Appeals webpage, or paper copy may be requested through the town's clerk's office. All right. I think I got to everything. And do we have somebody presenting for 15 Forbes Street?
Yes, hi, this is James Fry. I'm the contractor and authorized agent for Norm Burns. Okay,
great. Can you tell us about the project?
Yeah, so we're proposing an addition of a garage and mudroom. The 24 by 26 garage will have a finished bedroom and bathroom above it. The reason for the special permit is that the proposed addition will exceed 1,000 gross square feet as allowed under Section 2412 of the zoning bylaw. The pre-existing lot is also non-conforming to today's zoning requirements. So the front yard setback is 32.5 feet of the existing dwelling. The requirement is 50 feet. The east side yard, the lot area, and the frontage are also non-conforming. The proposed addition will actually be on the westerly side, and that will meet the westerly side yard setback of 15 feet. The addition will actually be 22.7 feet from that setback and 46.8 feet from the rear yard setback. So there will be no increase of non-conforming nature of the lot with the addition. The plans also show the average setback of the abutting dwellings, and the addition is going to be substantially further setback in comparison to the neighborhood. So therefore, there would be no nuisance, hazard, congestion increased from the proposed actions.
All right, so the gross square footage that you're actually requesting that's exceeding 1,000 square feet is, I think it was 1,300 and 80 square feet, so we're going over by 380 square feet.
That's correct. Yeah, the gross would be 1380.
Okay. So to be clear, by right or by our zoning bylaws, you wouldn't even have to be in here if this were 1,000. But the reason we're here is the extra 380 square feet.
Exactly. Yeah. When I was reading that, I didn't know. It said greater than 1,000 or less than 50% of the existing gross square feet. Is that a either or thing, or if it's over 1,000, no matter what you need requirement?
Yeah, you got it. It's so if somebody had, you get captured by the lowest common denominator, I guess. So if you were to have a 800 square foot house or livable area, you could do 400 square foot addition by right. If you want to do 500, you'd need a special permit. Okay. And so you get, it looks like your original square footage was 2508, maybe, if I'm reading that right. And at 2508, you'd get 1254, I guess it would be, or something in that.
Yeah. Well, the gross, the existing gross is 2984. Okay.
All right. Okay. So yeah. So you get hit by the 1,000 square foot one.
Gotcha.
So, yep. No, you're in the right place. You got the right permit request, at least. All right. And I think you hit all the salient points. Not increasing any of the nonconformities. You've got your average, your front setback is actually, you're not pushing it as close to the road as the house. The rear setback isn't going as far back as the house, but the side, clearly you're going towards the left side, the west side, I suppose. The west side, but you're still at 22.7 instead of 15. So you hit all the key points. You're not creating any new nonconformities. You're increasing an existing nonconformity, meaning that you're adding more square footage to an undersized lot and a lot with less than the required amount of frontage, and that's why we're here. And the zoning board can grant that relief, through our zoning bylaws with a special permit. So, do any members of the board have any questions? I think on this one. So Todd, you're on. So Todd,
yes.
Do you have any questions?
No, I'm usually hesitant to say this because you usually aren't, but this appears to be pretty straightforward, and I don't have any questions.
Okay, Rachel or Will?
No, I don't have any questions. I mean, there was one thing in the letter, the April 28th letter. I just wanted to make sure. It said parking would be on site and no more than 3 vehicles would be on site during hours of operation, 8 to 4. Like, I didn't know what that meant, or if it was just that's the time frame that work was going to be done, and that's why it was in there. I just didn't know what that was.
Yes, that was just a time frame of which work was going to be done. Just providing that no nuisance would be or congestion would be created on the street.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the nuisance hazard and congestion. It's actually an interesting approach. Usually, that actually pertains to the finished concept. You would just have to comply with whatever bylaws are in the town regarding noise and dust ordinances. The nuisance hazard and congestion has to do with whether you're overburdening the lot with your finished product. But
Okay.
Appreciate the thought put into that. Will, did you have anything?
No, Justin, it looks pretty straightforward, as Todd mentioned.
Okay.
Yep.
Members of the public, do we have any members of the public here that at all? I don't think we. I don't know, Paula, do we have any? I don't think we.
I don't think so. I thought there was somebody before, but I don't see them, and I don't know.
All right. Well, if there's any members of the public, if you have any questions, feel free to identify yourself and ask any questions you have. All right, hearing none. Fred, our building commissioner provided us with a nice letter that certainly we gratefully accept, which outlines, and we can enter into the record, Fred's letter dated June 7th, explaining the pre-existing nonconformities. The lot is undersized at 11,713 square feet. The frontage is at 104 feet, 0.44. The east side setback is less than the required, but they're not going in that direction. And so Fred's conclusion is the proposed addition will not exacerbate any of the pre-existing nonconforming setbacks, will not create new nonconformities relative to the setbacks. And so, yeah, so we're not further encroaching on anything. So, but for the 300 extra square feet, Fred would be here. Do you have any other comments to add to that, Fred?
I do not, Justin. That wraps it up.
Okay, cool. Hearing nothing else, do I have a motion to close public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, we have a second.
Second?
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 All right. So, Rachel, Will, or Todd, do you guys have any concerns with this?
I do not, Justin. I think it's, again, pretty straightforward. Fred's letter is helpful, and as you mentioned, we'll add it into the findings. But no, I'm fine with it.
All right.
Agree. I don't have anything further either.
Okay. So under 2410 of our zoning bylaws, in order to receive a special permit for pre-existing increase of a pre-existing nonconformity, we need to do 2410.1. They need to meet all the guidelines for a special permit. So I'll make a motion that under section 1330, special permits, that it appears that there will be no nuisance hazard and congestion created, nor will there be substantial harm to the neighborhood, nor derogation from the intent of the bylaws by granting this proposal. So I have a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 All right, 3-0. And furthermore, I'll make a motion that under 2410.2 of our zoning bylaws, that the proposal will not be substantially more detrimental or objectionable to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming structure. Do I have a second?
Go ahead, Rachel.
Oh, sorry, second.
There you go. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, great. Motion carries 3-0. We put on standard conditions that the addition must be subject to the plans that are submitted, and a few other small details that we draft for the decision. James, would you like to see a drafted decision before we finalize it once it's produced, or do you just want us to sign it and bring it to the town hall?
Yeah, I'd like to see a draft. That'd be great.
Okay, so typically drafts take, the decision process, it has to be, the minutes have to be looked at, and then it has to be drafted, and then it's usually a 3 to 4 week process before it gets brought down to the town hall. So sometime in the next couple weeks, probably 3 weeks or so, you'll get an email from Paula after the board has looked at it, and with a proposed draft. You'll be invited to provide any comments you want at that point, and barring no comments, we'll execute it and it'll be brought to the town clerk.
That process isn't any faster if I don't get a draft, right?
No, not unless you, I mean, the only way it slows down is if we send it to you for comments and we don't hear anything for a week and we're waiting on your comments, or if you look at it and say, I want to change this, this, and this, and then we have to make the changes. So long as you're responsive and there aren't substantial changes to it that you're requesting, it doesn't really do anything but slow the process by maybe 24 hours.
Okay, that sounds good.
But this doesn't seem like this isn't a rocket science one here, so we don't need any complicated decisions on this one. So it's just what's that, Paula?
I said I should be able to get this done turn it around relatively soon.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, just from a workload point of view, James, we don't. From an expectation point of view, I mean, I point this out to applicants that many zoning boards actually take the tack that they'll look at the decision at the next meeting and then vote on it. And we view that as an administrative task. And unless there's any large debate, that all occurs behind the scenes. So we're relatively quick in getting this out to you. So, but it takes time to get it drafted and then get me to review it, and then the board has to review it, and then we have to get it all executed, all signed by all of us. And with vacation schedules and just everybody else having real life things, it usually takes 3 to 4 weeks to get all that done.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Sure thing. All right. So this one's closed. Fred, do you have any updates for us about anything like doggy daycares or anything that you've shut down lately?
I have to hear about this. Like, I'm.
All right, so does everybody want the truth, or you want to hear what's on social media?
I've already know it's on social media because my reservation there was canceled.
Yeah.
We can handle the truth, Fred.
You can't. It would be like what was that movie? Whatever it was. I don't know if you can handle the truth.
Yeah,
So,
it was. Yes, you're good men. That's right.
Yeah. So everything you heard on social media is 100% incorrect. None of it was correct. I didn't follow it, even though it's still going on. Basically, and the board was notified that this may come to the board. They chose not to appeal it. They were given. They hired a lawyer, met with the lawyer. They asked for a 60-day extension, which I granted, which would have brought them to the middle of July before I took the next action. But the owners, for whatever reason, just decided to close. So against everything you've read, the town did not shut them down, nor would they have done that for quite some time at the earliest.
It clearly didn't make any sense. Clearly there's something else going on, because they could have appealed this for quite some time. And I'm sure that they could have tried to have made provisions that satisfied whatever letter you gave them. And so it's unfortunate that that's how it's being portrayed.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. It was unfortunate that they had through their lawyer had presented several options they were going to try. It didn't sound like they ever tried anything, but I don't know that factually. They just, by the time they decided to close, and they did it fairly abruptly from my understanding, they basically notified everybody a day or two before they closed, and that was it.
Yeah, they sent out an email and posted on social media on Monday of Memorial Day, which that obviously Sunday and Monday, nobody in the town is shutting them down Sunday, Monday of Memorial Weekend. So then everyone on Facebook was like, oh my God, what's wrong with the town of Westborough? And like, what do you need from us? And we'll hire lawyers, and we love you, and like, whatever we can do, let us know. I'm like, guys are not critical thinking here. Like, there's something we're missing. Like, there's no way you shut them down with no notice. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
No. Well, so the fact is that they weren't shut down, that was a choice on their part. So,
yep.
So be it. I don't know what it must be, the error of appeals. We have another one brewing that I just sent a letter out, so we'll see how that goes. This person's going to go kicking and screaming, so I doubt they'll appeal it either. They'll just ignore me for some time.
Well, should we get educated on what it is, or are we just going to wait on?
You can. It goes back. Actually, I've gotten complaints in the past, but I've kind of, it's a home occupation. The person actually has a website. They claim that they did the work off-site, but they were just keeping the office in the house. So initially, I kind of went with that, but more recently, I've gotten too many complaints about 18-wheelers basically dropping off equipment to the residential site on a daily basis. So he's now it's gotten to a point where he's just operating a business out of the house, not a home occupation.
Yeah. Yeah, when 18-wheelers are showing up, it's hard to hide that.
Well, you can get away with one every once in a while, but, you know.
Everybody's got a Ring doorbell nowadays, too, so you could probably track the 18-wheeler all the way down the street if you really wanted to.
Well, the neighbors are really petrified of the person. He is kind of a hothead. I talked to him 3 years ago, and I actually sided with him on the original complaint, but more recently, it's kind of hard to ignore what he's doing. He's just gotten he had said 3 years ago that if it got too big, he'd move out. But I don't think he took his own advice. So anyway,
well, maybe he will now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's going to go kicking and screaming. I have a bad feeling that this won't end well either way. But so he was given a notice that he could appeal to you guys too.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well. And then nothing else. That's about it.
Yeah, that's it. It's fairly quiet right at the moment.
Yeah. Okay.
I just
Cool.
have a question. I hate to go back to all about the pup again, but
Okay.
I mean, I've had friends who have asked me like, what happened? What's going on? I'm not interested in getting involved on the social media stuff, but like, I mean, anything that you've said tonight, I'm like, am I okay to say to a friend who had asked, like, you know, it's not the whole story, you know, like they chose not to appeal it and they're making it into something that it's not. I just don't want to say anything that's like not appropriate. Like everyone just seems to be really confused by like what's going on.
No, they would. I got one email from somebody, I don't know if it was a customer or whatever, they asked me about the appeal. I said they were given an appeal process and it was extended through July basically. And even then they could have looked for an extensions past that. They just chose not to take any of those processes. That's public knowledge. There's nothing to hide there. It's not like that's a secret.
All right. Okay. That was what I was wondering. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, I think the select board may address it, but I'm not really sure. They've talked about it too, because the town's kind of getting beat up pretty bad on this on social media, but it's like, whatever. I mean, I don't have anything secret to hide. All the letters I published, they can be requested, and you know, everything we've said is straightforward. I can't speak for the Hathaways. They chose. There may be other things going on. I really haven't pressed them. You know, we had our economic development coordinator reach out to them after they announced that and said, if we have a grant program, you know, you can look into that or whatever else the town can do. So we got complaints. You can't ignore the complaints. Kind of between a rock and a hard place. The town has no desire to shut any business down ever. But by the same token, if the business is not doing everything that they have to, then we have to at least try to address it.
Right. No, that makes sense.
But by all means, anything I've said tonight, or if they want the letters, they're all public letters. There's nothing secret about it. I can always produce those if anybody ever requests.
Yeah, and this hearing is public and recorded, Rachel. So everything that's said here, you can repeat because it's all recorded for posterity and will be published and available online. And so, yeah, I mean, we kind of knew this was, going on, and we certainly can't. Nobody on the town side can comment as to why, in fact, they closed. All we know is that, the town issued them a mandate that they had to, quiet things down, and they chose to close. That's all, as far as everything that we know.
Yeah.
So, based on complaints from abutters, it's not like the town went and looked for this as a problem. It was, as you know, the towns and Fred and I think all the building commissioners for the last decade, at least in this town, have looked to avoid kind of conflict and try and mediate before anything's happened. I don't think as a town or as a board, this is one of the most friendly towns for me, trying to work with the businesses and the people, as opposed to many towns that I've done jobs in and worked in. And it hasn't always been that way, to the credit of, the newer, I say newer, Fred's been here for a while now, but to the newer members of the staff in town, it's, it's turned from what was 20 years ago, what I thought was kind of a difficult place to do a lot of business, to a very business-friendly town. So.
Yeah, Rachel, I can guarantee you Fred doesn't have to go looking for trouble. It comes looking for him.
That would be my response.
Yeah, but most of zoning, what you'll find on the enforcement end, is done via complaint. I mean, we don't have to go out and look for problems. They'll come looking for us if there's a real problem, and the neighbors will complain. And that's when we have to, sometimes we try to, as Justin said, we try to resolve it before it goes anywhere, but sometimes we just can't, for whatever reason.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about donkeys and bees. I mean, we don't want to be doing that, right?
No, that is
and
correct.
Dogs barking. It's and I think for the most part, people have common sense and regulate themselves. And we're there to provide the guidance for it. And who knows how the zoning board would have ruled? If they had appealed it. I mean, you don't know. I mean, we generally, I think we generally side with what your thoughts are, but there's certainly been times we've differed on them, and so every citizen has their right to to a process. But if you don't avail yourself to the right, you can't. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point, Justin. I don't think that point was brought out at all. I don't think that anybody understands that they weren't just. They're always given a process. I'm very, very, very in favor of that. You can't just say, Fred says you got to do this, so you got to do it. They can always appeal that, and I always make that very clear in any communication with them, is that there's always an appeal process.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. So, all right. Anything else from anybody?
No, the only other comment I make, Justin, is I think we've had these taped, but when we go back into person, we generally haven't had them taped by Westborough TV. I don't know if you have a desire to, don't have a desire to.
I'm ambivalent. I don't. I don't care one way or the other. I don't think there's anything that we do that's particularly interesting, right? So, I think that, I mean, we have minutes, we have records. People can show up for the hearings if they want. I would say we don't need to record them unless I guess if the selectmen tell us we have to record them, we can record them. But I think the only ones in my history we ever televised and recorded were the 40B applications. Maybe other than that, maybe there was one with the compensation for the Lake Chauncey project there that was recorded. But other than that, we never recorded them. So I don't see the need in it, unless you do, Fred, or
No, I didn't, but I know that's going to be a push for Westborough TV, because with the Zoom stuff, they were able to get to all these meetings. But once we go back to in person, it could be difficult for them to make all these different meetings.
That's what I was going to say. It might be hard for them to have enough people to be able to cover everything.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it was a stretch in the past.
Yeah, I mean, we could do the same thing if there's an issue that Westborough TV or the select board thinks that the town has an interest in having on TV and having it televised. We'll be on TV. But other than that, nobody needs to know about I don't think you need to have a video on a special permit on a back street for 300 square feet of house.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, the other option is I can just, do a Google Meet and record it and send it to them. And then they can post it, because that's what I'm doing tonight. They're not recording. I am.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm sending it to them tomorrow.
yeah, that's probably not a bad option, actually, Paul. Albeit, how do you do that in the live one? You wouldn't?
Not really
Yeah, you
sure.
need a camera. You need like set a laptop up at the podium or something.
I don't know. I'll look into that
Yeah.
just because, I mean, there's other boards that don't normally record, like the Board of Health never did. So we're going back to open, in-person meetings this month too. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll find out.
Yeah, I think it only becomes important if we start to go to a hybrid, because the administration has talked about a hybrid where you have in person, but somebody could participate remotely. We haven't done that before, and we're not sure that we're going to do it. But if we did do it in the future, then we may have to record it. But as Justin said, this board, at least in my tenure, has never sent this to Westborough TVs. But in the future, if we can do it, that's great. If we can't, then I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay,
That's all I got.
me too.
Okay. Anybody else?
Nope, not
Right.
me.
Nope.
Nope.
Cool. So it'll be fun to meet in person next month. That'll be
Yeah.
nice.
Can't
Knock
wait.
on wood.
Pretty
All
hard
right.
going home and then having to go back out again.
Well, maybe we'll have nothing on the agenda next month, Paula. Just take heart.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
All
Just jinxed it.
right. Well, motion to adjourn. Anybody? I'll make it.
Yeah.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
You
See ya.
too.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.